Good evening to a full house. Welcome to the August 27th, 2025 regular meeting of the Willits City Council. Tonight is a little different. We're going to have a couple things that we don't usually have happen, but I know that many of you are here for one item, and we're going to try to move that up as quick as possible so you can enjoy your evening, and we're stuck here. But tonight we're going to start with the call to order and pledge and the roll call, and then we're going to have a short memorial for a former city councilman who passed away. So if you could, John, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Councilmember Burton.
I'm here.
Gonzalez.
Present.
Stransky.
Yes.
Albanese.
Here.
Almond.
Present. A former city councilman, Terry Harvey. He was city councilman for the city of Willits from 1996 to 2000. Recently passed away. Terry was a friend of mine. He was a friend of the city. If you know where Cubed is, a small restaurant here, that used to be Ardella's. And Terry and his wife, Stephanie, ran Ardella's for many years. I know that I had breakfast there the morning of 9/11, and it was a morning I'll never forget. He was a good friend, but he passed away in Santa Rosa recently. And if you could indulge the city, please, I'm going to ask for. We're going to stand at a moment of silence in memory of our friend Terry Harvey. Thank you.
Tom, can I add just a little bit to that?
Of course.
Because I did serve with Terry Harvey on the Willits City Council, and also very good friends with his wife and their family. To digress just slightly, Stephanie's dad was a gentleman named Gail Hunt, who had a CPA firm here in town that made Herb Cain one day when he took on Fred Steele as his partner, and they named the accounting firm Hunt and Steele. So, which Herb Cain had a way of finding those things. But you know, Terry, through his activity running the Ardella's restaurant, and got very interested in civic affairs, ran for city council. He was in the same term that we ran. I was elected 4 years before then, but anyway, he was very much focused on taking care of the downtown merchants and taking care of business of Willits, and he did a great job while he was here.
Thank you for that.
He was active in the chamber. I was police captain when he served on the council, and so I interacted in that way.
Well, he and his wife Stephanie were married for 47 years, and the city council and the city will certainly sends our condolences to the Terry Harvey family. And they're videotaping, and Stephanie, we're all very, very sorry, and we certainly thank you for loaning Terry to the city for 4 years as councilman. He did a good job, and he did the city well. Thank you very much. Okay, now, brace yourself. In May, Frontier Days sent Jeff Cook here on a mission to sing a song about Frontier Days, which we heard, and it was a good song. And since then, I've been contacted by Two Trees, Chesky, a friend of mine right here, who for many years, this has been hidden, he's never told me about it. He has a song written about Willits he'd like to sing tonight. And he politely asked me earlier in the week, and I said yes. You have 3 or 4 minutes to sing the song. Just to let you know, we've been given lyrics to the song, but we've been told to keep it face down until Two Trees Chesky sings a song. So Two Trees, thank you for being here. And I guess the stage is yours.
All right, yeah. So, in 1985, I wrote this song about Willits. 1985 was 40 years ago. You can imagine how young I was when I wrote that. Okay? And sang it many times through the years, and people always said, "That's a great song about Willits. That should be the Willits Anthem." And so I'm presenting this tonight as a candidate for the Anthem for Willits. The idea behind the song is, as for those of you who live in Willits, whenever you go to the coast or you go south to north, you know you're almost home when you're coming down the hill. Whether it's the Ridgewood grade or the 6 Mile grade or the Oil Well Hill, you know you're almost home when you're coming down the hill. So that's the big part of the chorus here. I'd love it if you all could join in. It's pretty easy. It's just a couple lines. Be maybe some of the most singing that's ever happened at a city council meeting. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't been to all of them. So here's the chorus. Coming down the hill, yeah, I'm coming down the hill. I know I'm almost home when I'm coming down the hill. So that's the chorus. It goes on maybe 4 or 5 times during the song. So please sing along with it. Also, as I said, I wrote this 40 years ago. The first line is no longer correct. Because the first line is just a few things that this town don't have, like a good place to eat or to hear a good band. But now we got Haschak here, we got Shawnee Pub and other places, so it's not totally correct anymore. Okay? We'll start with the chorus again, see if you get it. Coming down the hill, yeah, I'm coming down the hill. I know I'm almost home when I'm coming down the hill. Beautiful. I would just be really tickled if I said that all the city councilmen singing this song. I don't care what your voice sounds like, okay? It'll be drowned out. And you have the lyrics right in front of you. We do. Well, there's just a few things that this town don't have, like a good place to eat or to hear a good band. It don't have no ocean, don't get much snow. I'm getting the urge, I think it's time to go. So I head to the city, gonna have my big wish. Gonna hear some good music, gonna eat raw fish. But the band ain't tight, the fish ain't right, and I just spent a week's pay on a Saturday night. Headed home and I'm coming down the hill. Yeah, I'm coming down the hill. I know I'm almost home when I'm coming down the hill. I've been away no matter how long, my roots are here, they're deep and strong. That is why I'm singing this song about coming down the hill. Coming down the Ridgewood grade, yeah. Coming down the hill. No, I'm almost home when I'm coming down the hill. So I head to the ocean in my little yellow car. You know, 30 miles can't be so far. But I get stuck behind the snowshoe trucks. I commence to swearing. Damn my luck with all the curving and cursing. I'm feeling no good. Fog so thick I can't see my hood. I can't see the ocean. I can't see the sky. I can't see the whales. I can't see sea lions. Headed home and I'm coming down the hill. Yeah, I'm coming down the hill. I know I'm almost home when I'm coming down the hill. I've been away no matter how long, my roots are here, they're deep and strong. That is why I'm singing this song about coming
So I head up north to the giant avenue, gonna see some trees while they're still few. Yeah, they sure were big and they sure were tall, but if you've seen one, you see them all. And reggae on the river just wasn't my thing. Don't make me dance, don't make me sing, just baking in that summer heat, listening to that dreaded beat. Headed home and I'm coming down the hill, yeah, I'm coming down the hill. I know I'm almost home when I'm coming down the hill. I've been away no matter how long, my roots are here, deep and strong. That is why I'm singing this song about coming down the hill. Coming down the oil well hill, yeah, I'm coming down the hill. Delightful to see so many people sing this. And through the years, I've done this song and people tell me, you know, when I come down the Ridgewood Grade, I start singing that song. It's really wonderful. Sitting home by the fire, looking out at the trees, seems like going away what it's cracked up to be. Every now and then I get the urge to roam, but the best part of leaving is coming back home. Headed home and I'm coming down the hill, yeah, I'm coming down the hill. I know I'm almost home and I'm coming down the hill. I've been away no matter how long, my roots are heavy and strong. That is why I'm singing this song about coming down the hill. Coming down the Ridgewood Grade, yeah, coming down the hill. So I'm almost home when I'm coming down, coming down, coming down the hill. Just a little thing on that. This, I said I got stuck behind a slow Schuster truck. Well, someone who used to commute daily to the coast said, you know, the Schuster truck drivers are really good. They pulled over.
They were usually faster than you can.
Thank you for your time. I got a few copies of the song too if you want.
Two Trees, thank you very much.
Great job.
Okay, and this doesn't happen at every council meeting, so don't show up next time and ask where they're singing, okay? All right, Dolores, go ahead.
The City Council welcomes input from the audience. If there is a matter of business on the agenda that you are interested in, you may address the council when this matter is considered. If you wish to speak on a matter that is not on the agenda, you may do so at this time. In order for everyone to be heard, please limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. The Brown Act regulations do not allow action to be taken on audience comments in which the subject is not listed on the agenda. Members of the public are asked to observe the rules of decorum. While the City Council welcomes public criticism of policies, procedures, programs, or services of the agency, behavior that disrupts, disturbs, impedes, or renders infeasible the orderly conduct of the meeting, and that includes, but is not limited to, the use of profanity, slurs, yelling from the audience, threatening remarks, physically threatening conduct, or physical or verbal displays of disrespect, will not be tolerated, and the individual will be removed immediately.
Thank you. Is there anybody who would like to speak on anything which is not on the agenda? Okay.
Hello, my name's Donna Cash Vargas. I live on Barbara Lane. I'm coming to talk to you guys about our crosswalks in town and asking if we could possibly have some lights in the crosswalks. Unfortunately, society is only getting worse, and if someone sees someone approaching a crosswalk, unfortunately, they pull up into the crosswalk lately, or they zoom right through it. So I walk with dogs. a lot at nighttime. My dogs have reflective collars, and I try to wear bright colors to make sure I don't get hit. There was a young lady in Santa Rosa whose life was just taken. She was 19 years old walking her dog. So I do this to relieve stress, and I just ask if we could please get some kind of more lights, especially at nighttime on our crosswalks, especially over by the post office. Nobody pays attention right there. Right now, our kids are out running for sports. I watched several incidents where no one stopped for the kids, and kids just ran right through it. So they just ran right through the crosswalk and did not pay attention. So even if there is a crosswalk, sometimes people don't pay attention to that. My daughter was waiting at the crosswalk right up here, and she was hit by a car while she had the right of way. So that happened when her, I think 2019. Anyways, thank you for your time, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. The police chief's here, he heard it, and I'm sure he's going to direct the officers to pay attention to crosswalks. So I appreciate you taking the time to come here. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to say anything on any topic which is not on the agenda? Okay, then. I'm going to close that part of the public comment, and with the council's permission, I'm going to move item 9A as an atom. The discussion and possible induction of proposed ordinances to amend Title 17 zoning of the Willits Municipal Code, including the modification of Chapter 17.06 entitled Use Group Classification and the addition of Chapter 17.23 entitled Main Street Mixed Use Zone and 17.25 entitled General Mixed Use Zone. Presenting member is Dusty Dooley, Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is that okay with the council?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Dusty. Thank you.
All right, Dusty Dooley, Community Development Director, City of Willits. Good evening, council. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the song. Kind of hard to follow that up. There'll be no singing or dancing in my presentation today. I may have mistitled this. Apparently this is the Rio Love Fest is really what we're presenting tonight. So to get into this, we are following up on the land use element update of the general plan that was adopted last October. And this is the first stage of implementing some of the policies within that, including the creation of the 2 mixed-use zoning districts, as well as the update of the zoning map to be consistent with the land use map of the general plan. So for tonight, I'm going to just very quickly give an overview of the general plan update, review the new zoning districts, both the Main Street mixed use and the general mixed use, highlight some of the key provisions within the mixed use zoning districts, including special off-street parking standards and formula-based business restrictions in the downtown area. We'll present the zoning map amendments, again, consistent with the general plan land use map, and then give you a schedule of the next steps. So just very quickly, the City of Willits general plan was last comprehensively updated in 1992. We successfully updated the land use element portion of that in 2024 in October. We had, I'll roll through this pretty quickly, and at the mayor's discretion, I'll slow down on anything, but a lot of public outreach. We had advisory committees. We had surveys, open house. We created a web GIS application project website to gather input from the public, and ultimately, again, had adoption of the land use element, including the general plan land use map. A lot of meetings, a lot of work happened in 2024. Just note that the general plan designation is a broad long-term vision for a community's future land use, while a zoning ordinance implements that vision through specific detailed regulations on how land can be developed and used in the short term.
That's okay, I'm giving away your chair.
Okay. So we're going to be looking at recommending the establishment of 2 new mixed-use zoning districts as directed by the land use element. The Main Street mixed use, which will focus on the downtown core, and then the general mixed use, which can be applied to other areas within the city. These are the definitions of the 2 designations. I'll just say that with the difference between the two, with the Main Street mixed use, we're really looking at ensuring that we maintain those commercial storefronts, but allow for housing units to go above or behind those, but maintain that commercial frontage. Where with the general mixed use, we're looking to support any combination of housing and commercial, or either one. So a little bit more flexibility there. So for the Main Street mixed use, what I'm showing here is the boundaries, again, consistent with the land use map. So at the northern boundary, we're at State Street or North Spur Brewery, home of Rio's future business, and then extending along either side of Main Street down to Alameda Avenue or Mariposa Market. So also within the land use element, we received policy direction to provide greater flexibility in the range of permitted uses in the commercial areas. And so we'll show you a second. We've identified some additional uses to add as permitted uses in the zoning. So this is for the downtown mixed-use zoning district, and all those properties that I just showed on the screen were previously in our C1 community commercial zoning district. And so what we did is we mirrored the C1 district, and then the modifications are highlighted in the blue here. So we've added residential above ground floor commercial as a permitted by right use. By doing that, state law requires us to add farm worker housing and residential care homes with 6 or fewer persons. We've added tourist accommodations, so that's your hotels, your motels, your inns, bed and breakfast facilities. And then we've created a new use group called a nano brewery, and I'll get to the definition of that here in a moment. And then government institutions like City Hall were added in there as well. I do want to note that staff did take cremation and undertaking land use types out of the permitted uses and put them in conditional uses. So that was the only change going the other way. And then for the general mixed-use district, again, those properties typically had we're mirroring the C1 zoning district. We've added multiple dwelling, which would be your more than 3 units under one roof, so apartments, condos, as well as the residential above ground floor commercial. Because we're allowing apartment-style units, state law requires us to add supportive and transitional housing as permitted by right uses. And then again, you see the nano brewery, tourist accommodations, and government institutions being added to that use group as permitted uses. And I should mention, by permitted use, that means, provided you meet standards, you don't have to get a discretionary permit. You're not having to go in front of council. If you meet the standards, then at the staff level, we'll, issue you a building permit or a business license. And same thing, cremation and undertaking was moved from permitted uses to conditional uses. So trying to accomplish a handful of things with this upgrade. So we also received direction in the land use element to look at modifying or waiving off-street parking standards in the downtown area. So one of the situations that has come up far too often in my 9-year career, and actually is a situation occurring now with one of our property owners, is you have some long-standing vacant buildings, and you finally have somebody that's interested in establishing a business there, and then they run into the issue of not meeting the off-street parking standards. So typically your off-street parking requirements are based on the use and the square footage of the building. And we get into a position where we say, hey, we recognize that there's no opportunity for you to provide off-street parking. We need to go in front of city council and get a variance because of the process and having to do public notice and put together a report. It can take a few months to get you an audience with council. Staff feels like we can make the findings. We can't make any promises, but we think you'll have a good show at it when it's time there. Well, trying to sit in escrow to purchase a building for 3 months, or waiting with that uncertainty for 3 months has potentially caused issues where either properties haven't sold or a business hasn't filled that space. And so, as this council's aware of, in the downtown area, it's not a situation where the business doesn't want to provide the parking. There's just literally no opportunity on site to do it. And so this is an opportunity to try to get a little proactive with that and help support businesses going into some of our vacant storefronts. So just to give a quick overview of what that looks like, we're looking to exempt off-street parking for certain commercial uses, or not uses, but certain situations. So if it's new construction or expansion of a non-residential project less than 1,000 square feet, or it's on a lot that's less than 4,000 square feet in size, you're exempt from off-street parking standards, meaning you don't need to provide any. If you have a change from a previous non-residential use to a different principally permitted non-residential use within an existing building, you're also exempt from off-street parking standards. Now that we're allowing residential uses, potentially if we approve the mixed-use zoning district, then accessory dwelling units and new residential units under 500 square feet, as well as affordable housing units, would be exempt from providing off-street parking as well. If we do get an expansion over 1,000 square feet, we would only require parking for the expanded areas, and they wouldn't need to make up for the existing deficiency. And then we're looking for the new parking to be behind or beside buildings, because again, we're wanting to protect that commercial storefront at the back of the sidewalk. Again, following the policies in the land use element, we're carrying forward until the time we can come up with an ordinance itself for specific to formula-based businesses. Since we're on the mixed-use zoning district, staff added a restriction on establishing formula-based businesses in the downtown area. This is a map on the bottom right that shows the area that was subject to that restriction. What we're doing tonight would only apply to that new mixed-use area along the Main Street area from essentially State Street to Alameda.
Dusty, can you give a definition of a formula-based business?
Yeah, it's a business. It's if you have 10 or more of the same, essentially. So what this would do is it would mean Starbucks can't set up across from the Van Hotel or McDonald's or Subway. Yeah. So got word that we had a beloved citizen that was interested in establishing a sake brewery. We've also had existing breweries that were potentially interested in expanding their business. And so we came up with this new use group for a nano brewery. So it's a business that conducts on-site brewing, whether it's sake, beer, wine, really anything that relies on the fermentation process rather than distillation. But it caps it at less than 3,000 barrels. So to kind of give you an idea of, North Spur is our existing brewery, and my understanding is they get to about 1,000 barrels a year. The ABC defines a microbrewery as less than 60,000. So this is pretty small scale, and we're looking to add this as a permitted use in both of the mixed-use zonings.
I think it's important to define what a barrel is in this discussion. The barrel's 31 gallons. So typical nano brewery is like 3 barrels or less. So you're redefining that.
I couldn't find a definition of nano brewery. I was wondering if we were maybe the first to come up with it. ABC didn't have a definition.
It's 5 brewing.
What is it?
No. It's defined in other places. It's typically 3 barrels. But.
Tonight we're introducing this, so there's an opportunity to make changes. If there's a better term other than nano brewery, we could bring that forward at the September 10th meeting when we're anticipating bringing this forward for potential adoption. So then getting into the zone changes, again, this was the discussion that occurred as part of the land use element update, and so we're bringing forward changes to the zoning map consistent with the general plan land use map. There's a copy on the wall over there. Bruce, I'm not teasing your eyesight, but you've got a nice copy there beside you.
Yeah.
And then handed one out. So they basically fall into three different categories. We're calling the mixed-use zone changes opportunity changes, and then the majority of them are what we're calling cleanup changes, where the long-standing land use didn't match the zoning. And so, and then we had some land use requests come from property owners. This is showing a neighborhood around East Oak Street up to Trudy Lane. And this is a situation where the city had this area zoned as commercial, but it's primarily single family and duplex style housing. And so by the city having it zoned as commercial, essentially what we were saying is that we want to phase out the residential use and see commercial uses go there. I couldn't find anyone that knew the story of why that was, and that certainly wasn't the intent of the city. And so what we were able to do was do a cleanup zoning and zone them to R2, medium density residential, to match the zoning with, again, the long-standing land use. And staff's understanding is that that creates the benefit to the property owner that if they ever wanted to sell their home, they're able to, a buyer is able to purchase it with a conventional loan, or if they want to borrow against the equity in the property, having the correct zoning that matches the land use becomes a positive benefit from them in that sense. This is an example of a land use request that was that came forward from the property owner. This is the property next to City Hall on the south side of Commercial Street, and we have a property owner that's interested in doing a mixed-use development, a combination of commercial units along Commercial Street and then residential behind and possibly above as well. And so they're anxious to get the general mixed-use district established on this property. So. I mean, what I'm grateful about is that by going through this process, it sounds like we've got some folks in our community that are ready to take advantage of these zone changes and these new regulations as soon as they're able to take effect.
That had single family, I mean, it had apartments above before.
I think it was legal non-conforming, and now that it's been out of use for so long, they've lost that non-conforming status. Right now it has the C2 zoning designation on it.
See, with Senate Bill 9 that passed 3 years ago, that basically requires us to approve ADUs on property, why would we even put a single-family resident zone anywhere in the city? Because everything you could build another house on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It begs the argument of single-family zoning is kind of essentially defeated, and we are subject to SB 9 through 95% of the city.
Well, it would take away a hurdle for people who want to build an ADU, so something to think about.
Yeah, and the way our code reads, we allow ADUs in a single-family residential
Okay,
zoning.
thank you.
Yeah.
Dusty,
Yes.
so if you have a residence behind your building, that can be turned into a single-family dwelling then, instead of going over it?
Yeah, if it's behind the storefront up along Main Street, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I should note, it's in your packet and it's in the ordinance. It wasn't shown on here. We have a use group called residential above commercial, but when you look at that little caveat, it says it can also be put behind the building too on ground floor. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We completed CEQA for the land use element update. The proposed zoning changes are consistent with the EIR. No additional CEQA reviews required. This is the first reading and introduction of the ordinance. Again, we're here to hear any concerns, requests for changes, revisions, and we can bring those back. Provided they're not too extensive, we can have those ready for the September 10th meeting, where we would be having the second reading and adoption of the ordinance. And then I want to note the ordinance would take effect 30 days after adoption potentially on the 10th. So the recommendation tonight is to introduce and to waive the first readings of both the ordinance for amending the zoning regulations as well as the ordinance amending the official zoning map.
Good presentation, thank you. And certainly with our push for downtown rejuvenation, this sounds like something we need to move forward to. I'm going to open up the city or to public comments in a minute, but I'd like to hear the council's thoughts.
Yeah, well, go ahead. These assessor parcel numbers that are listed here, I'd like to get more detail on those. I mean, these.
Are you looking at the staff report?
Yes. I don't expect you to know by assessor parcel number, but there are carve out for some individual parcels here that I'm always curious about how those come about and what they are.
Yeah, so the reasons those got called out separately from the 300 or so other changes is that they weren't part of the land use element update. They were found to be zonings that were inconsistent with the land use element prior to the changes. So their general plan designation didn't change, but we're recommending that their zoning be changed to be consistent with the general plan designation as required by state law.
I'm not sure I followed that, but
If they have a general plan designation of industrial and a zoning of residential, those are inconsistent, and we have to change the zone to industrial to be consistent with the general plan
So,
designation, for example.
The use isn't, so if it's a single family residence on an industrial zone, is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about?
It's not,
retrospective or prospective?
if the property is vacant, it's still an issue of, if it's a situation where the property is zoned industrial, or excuse me, the general plan designation is industrial, there's a single family home on it and it's zoned residential, then state's law would still ask us to rezone it industrial to be consistent with the general plan designation. And what it would mean is that single family home would become legal non-conforming. But in that situation, what would probably make more sense if it's a single family home in a single family area is probably change the general plan designation to residential and leave the zoning alone.
Well, that's why I'd like to match it up with these parcel numbers and understand it. I mean, I don't quite understand why, or another question is on that parcel on the northern bump out that is being asked to be changed to heavy industrial, why you wouldn't include that in this project?
That was a rezone that was under consideration, that had already been applied for, and when I talked to the consultants that were working on the EIR, the amount of analysis that it takes to look at a property that's going from commercial to industrial didn't fit within the scope or budget of the EIR. So we weren't able to include that one in the process. There were some other property owners that made some requests to go to industrial as well, and we weren't able to fold them into this grant-funded project. It came down to the amount of analysis for when you're going to industrial, which has land uses that can have impacts beyond what you would typically associate with a residential or commercial zoning. It becomes, there's a bit more analysis that's required.
It would not seem like it would have any more analysis than changing industrial to residential and then having the industrial remaining parcel have to now cope with a residential neighbor. I mean, if you...
The school, they come to go into the school zone property?
Yes.
Yeah. The school paid for that, but point taken.
But that doesn't make any sense, because you just said there's a little bit of difference in going from industrial to heavy commercial, is that what you said?
When you look at the different land use categories, and we can just kind of break them into residential, commercial, industrial. Typically, your industrial zoning, what's going to allow the most impactful land uses.
Right.
Whether it's noise, odor, maybe heavy traffic, et cetera. So if you're requesting to go rezone from anything to industrial, typically there's going to be a lot more analysis and review that's going to go into that consideration than if you were going, say, from industrial to residential.
But with the log deck that's expanding on the north end of town, is that heavy commercial or industrial?
It's heavy industrial, but you're not just analyzing
Wait,
log yard.
heavy industrial? What is,
Yeah.
it's gonna be heavy industrial?
Yeah, it's currently a combination of C1 and C2, community and heavy commercial, and the request is to go to heavy industrial.
I think so.
Yeah, right. And then, but when you do that, even though the log yard is what's being proposed, you have to look at all the other permitted uses that are allowed in the zoning too, because when you rezone it, in the future, it might go from a log yard to something that's more intensive and higher on the spectrum of heavy industrial. So you have to do the analysis of that whole spectrum of what's allowed as, what's permitted by right,
Okay.
if that makes sense. But we are moving through that project. It's on its own course, and we've got a call set up next week with LACO to hopefully schedule that matter for council consideration in the near future.
Jerry, anything?
Yeah, for the record, we've noticed all the property owners that, of these changes, so they're all aware. I know we've got a lot of people here, but
Yeah, individual letters went out to property owners.
okay.
Yeah.
And then are there
I
any?
notified them of this meeting as well as the potential September 10th meeting.
All right, and then as far as the, any pre-existing non-conforming that are going to be created with this change, or is that covered in this?
So it's very much mirroring what we did with the land use element update. And so as far as I understand, we are matching zoning with the land use and removing land uses from the non-conforming status and moving them into conforming. So, so far it seems like property owners have understood and been appreciative of that effort.
Okay.
Have you had any negative contacts, any people who are against this?
No, but a lot of conversations to understand.
Okay. You already done? Larry, anything?
I've already asked my question, thank you.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say thank you to staff. I know this is the end of a long process that you've been working on, going all the way back to the work you needed to create the general plan, land use, and this is just part of that work. So, you know, it's great to see maps, it's great to see colors, but it's a lot of work that went behind it. And some of those slides you went by pretty quick, which tells you how many months you've been working on this. So I just wanted to say thank you for your work and for staff.
Yes.
One other observation that I have is I periodically drive down Main Street and count the number of vacancies between the bottom of Sherwood Road and Highway 20 of vacant commercial properties. And I think it's somewhere around 30, 27 to 30 pieces that are vacant commercial storefronts. And some of them may be just a little bit 90-degree angle, you know, the storefront may be. So, I mean, my question, so I certainly think that we need to remove any obstacles that are causing distress or causing that distress. I think that's an unacceptable, you know, very unacceptable level of vacancy in the street. I'm not a particular fan of formula-based businesses, but I'd first like to get Main Street full, and then I'd like to worry then about being more selective about who they are. I think one of the issues to me is the on-street, the parking issue, and the city has red curbed 90% of the parking on Main, well, that's an exaggeration, but there's a significant amount of red curbs on Main Street prohibiting parking in favor of bike lanes that are seldom used. I think that anyway, those two things stand out to me as being non-supportive of getting business onto Main Street, just from what I see.
All right, anybody else have anything? So Dusty, this is a first reading, and obviously we have a lot of people here in support of this, not just Brio, but in support of this. You haven't had any opposition of significance on this?
Yeah, we've received no public.
Okay, and we're going to have a second reading in September 10th, I believe.
Yes.
And then we'll vote on it
It'll be before you for potential adoption and.
Right, and then if we vote yes, then it would go into effect 30 days from then?
Correct.
Right, okay. So, do you have any more in your presentation?
No, I'm finished.
Do we need to introduce it today, or you're doing the introduction, and do we need to waive the reading?
Yeah, what you'll want to do is at some point after public comment,
We're gonna-
waive the first reading and
Right.
introduce
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So I'm going to open up to public comment, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel embarrassed here, but I know a lot of people are here for the positive side of this. They support this. If you're here against it, we'd love to hear from you, because I think that what you're hearing from the council is we support this also. But right now, the way we do public comment is you have 3 minutes, and so if you want to do it, you go to the podium, state your name, and our city clerk, her timer will go off when your 3 minutes is up. But I'm telling you that for the majority of it, I think everybody is in support of this. It's not like you're fighting this mean city council that's going to say no, because we support it also. But if you want to speak your mind, that's what democracy is all about. Just if you want to say something, the podium is yours. By all means.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for making me opportunity today. My name is Ryo Muto. I'm running a business, ghost restaurant in the Willits, almost 4 years. And also organic farm too. Now, I am planning to establish the first sake brewery in Mendocino County. And here, Willits. Even in Sonoma County, no one has done this yet. And in San Francisco, there are only 2 small, high-quality micro sake breweries there. It's no one started here. So this project will contribute directly to our local economy. Sake brewery will create new jobs and attract visitors to the Willits, giving people a clear reason to stop, explore, and enjoy what our town has to offer to them. Already my ghost restaurant attracts many tourists, most of them seeking healthy food, and they spend money here. One of the biggest things our town needs is to give people from outside a reason to stop and support our community. So today, most of the sake available in America comes in 2 forms: large-scale, mass-produced brands that I'm calling Budweiser sake, or imported from Japan. And imported sake is excellent, it's good. But this is from Japan, it's not here. With this brewery in Willits, we can create a new option. Local, crafted, high-quality sake made with California-grown rice and then water from the Willits and the unique environment of this region, bringing benefits and recognition to this town and to the entire county. So that's how I want to do that here. And yeah, and thank you for giving me opportunity again for this vision. I really want to make sake brewery in the Willits.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
presentation, thank you. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Hello,
Hello, my name is Larry Gunther. I actually live in Davis. It's good to meet you all. Thank you all for your service. My wife and I, a couple years ago, cool story, I won't bore you with it right now, bought the old Oddfellows Lodge. We've been working on it. We've been trying to get local businesses in there. The current parking ordinance would only allow us to rent out less than a quarter of that building. Yeah, that's what we said. So we wanted to go through and get a variance, and city staff, thank you Dusty and Connor and everybody else, said, whoa, cool your jets, bro. We're gonna work on this change to the zoning. And I think that for us in particular, but a lot of the other older buildings, our building was built in 1897 when there was no parking ordinance. So there's more or less no parking on our site. We do have local people that are trying to get businesses going, so this would be great to get that going. And that, and I, maybe not particular to us, but adding that housing element really, I think, would help revitalize the downtown. And you're all more familiar with it than I am, but the 1-2 punch of the bypass and the change in various laws and how it's dealt fundamental changes to the Willits economy. So getting that economy, changing the economy to something, especially where a lot of local businesses are going, would be a benefit to everybody, the community. Two of the things that my wife and I have heard over and over since we got here was, one, community spirit, which is super in evidence tonight. Holy, this is, yeah, anyway. And the economy is kind of taking a big change. So trying to help that out. Won't go on any longer. If any of you need my contact info, I'm pretty sure all the staff except the chief of police have that. So
He probably does, you just don't know it.
yeah, could be. Anyway, thank you very much, and thanks again to staff for getting this together and trying to get this over the finish line.
Thank you, and thank you for believing in Willits. Thank you very much.
And by the way, you sent us a letter, and we got that, and we had all basically talked to Dusty about it, and we got told this was coming, so.
Yes, by all means.
Hello, I'm Trinity Clark. I'm one of the tattoo artists trying to open in Larry's location at 263 South Main Street. The parking code is the only roadblock I think left for us at this point. We do have all of our renovations nearly finished. We are still pending county approval to open the location, but aside from that, it's just this parking. And I thank you so much, Dusty, for all of the time that you put into that. I think all of the side notes that don't just directly affect us are really beautiful. You guys have clearly put a lot of thought and time into that, and it's so appreciated. The street directly in front of our building is blocked off for, I don't know if it's red or bike lane, but it's definitely not parking. We've been working since July to open this location, and there's always, of course, an amount of bureaucratic red tape that is to be expected. This parking code has just set us back an amount that we were unprepared for. So we're just like, we need income. We need this to happen as soon as possible. We are so thankful for all of your support. As far as that, it is, I'm 25 today. I want to establish.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I want to establish a business here. I want to be here. I don't want that to be something that's sacrificing my income and my livelihood and my career. I want this to thrive. I think the cutoff at Mariposa is crucial. That's where our tourists are going to the coast. Let's keep this side of Willits alive. And yeah, I think that's everything I need to say. Thank you all for coming and for all of your support. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Pardon me, can you tell me again what your business?
We are a tattoo shop.
Oh, okay.
Sorry if I forgot to mention that. I'm sure I could have prepared more for this, but I'm so thankful for all of you guys.
Thank you, and
so much.
happy birthday again. All right, so you got the general context of us, by all means.
It's a birthday.
Hello everybody, my name is Riley Vigil. I am a tattoo artist at Divination Inc. I'm the owner of the tattoo shop that we were just discussing. I just wanted to say hello, show my face to the community. I do work with the community a lot on collaborations and projects like helping the Humane Society and other things like that. Also, our business attracts a lot of people out of town. I have people that come from Santa Rosa, from the city, from Humboldt, from the Fort Bragg, from all over the place. And this parking code is very crucial for us. We've put our heart and soul into this business. We've been doing everything we can, and we really, really appreciate your guys' time and effort into making this happen. So, thank you guys.
Thank you, Riley. Thank you.
Can I also just say that our clients would support your business. We want to work in tandem with you. We want with you. Thank you so much for showing up. We want our clients to go and shop at your store. We want to be part of the community.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to, especially if there's something negative, not that we're going to hurt you or anything, we're not, by all means.
Not against this, but
Okay, if you want to say something, by all means.
So this is my first city council meeting. It's really cool to see everyone coming out and supporting Rio and Riley and everyone else involved.
It's not typical.
It's awesome. I love it. And two trees for that matter. So I came here ready to go to bat for Rio, and it sounds like it's Misha. My name is Misha Zaid, and it sounds like he already has a lot of support. So instead, I wanted to respond to something you said, Mr. Burton, about not being as particular as to who is filling the vacancies. I think that's actually, I think it's a little, it'd be a good idea to be a little more discretionary about who we let fill. I feel like there's a lot of businesses that are ready to fill those spots, given the proper rezoning and reparking ordinance. And I think that if we were to allow, I forget the term, but franchises effectively to take those spots, they'd probably hold on to them even outside of local economic shifts. And I think a more localized business base would provide more tax revenue to the county instead of outside of the county. That's all.
Great, thank you very much. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
My name is Matt Goins. I own the lot right next door here, the big old empty lot that everyone's probably wondering what's going on with it. I want to say thanks for your support. If you want me to say something negative, I can. If that's what you need. Sounds like you
No,
Okay, good. Yeah.
I've known you for a long time now. You've never said anything negative.
No, I won't. I just don't think I could if I wanted to. But yeah, I wasn't sure. I came down to give Dusty support, and I'm really appreciative of all the work he did with this. And I didn't know which way you guys were going to swing this, but it sounds like I don't need to say anything. So, but thanks for your support, and we hope to spend millions of dollars and do something with this in the next few years here. So,
Thank you, Matt. It's good seeing you. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak on this subject? Tom? And then Holly, you're going to speak? Okay.
Hello, Tom here. I wanted to say that...
Hey, in the hallway, sorry, in the hallway, shh, please, thank you. Go ahead, Tom, I'm sorry.
Thank you. We have a special town, and people like it here. They like to come here. They come because we're a small town, and we have small shops. We have places to go. And we need to improve on our ability to get these buildings filled in. And we need to make it easy for people to be here, because people really will come here and hopefully not stay too often. But if we maintain our look from Mariposa up into here, and we somehow get our downtown put together better, everybody's going to be doing good by that. So I think that this man here is very important for us to look at carefully for the skills that he has and the dreams. And these people here, they need to have respect for what they're trying to do. For what they're trying to do, and let's make sure that they have a chance to have a shot at it. I had a chance 30 years ago with backpacking $5, and it worked out okay for me. Well, this has been good for me. Everybody here, well, it's been good for you. There's plenty of room. Was that 30 minutes? I'm not much of a speaker, but.
Thank you, Tom. You did a fine job. Thank you. Former mayor, right, Holly? Former mayor, Holly Madrigal.
Civilian. Hi, Holly Madrigal, civilian.
A resident of Mendocino.
I first of all wanted to thank you all for all the work that you guys do. I know that you don't often have this full of a house, and so you can tell that this hit a nerve. And really, what I'm here to support Rio, but I also am just wanting to make sure that Willits is known for being the place for yes. Yes, we will help you start your business, and then working back from there. I think Dusty is doing an excellent job doing that, but I also want to urge the council to work with all expediency, because, I mean, a number of you are business owners. You know that time is money. You know, it takes time to get on the agenda. If this gets approved, it goes to the next city council meeting to be formalized. But I just want to make sure that Willits becomes known as the place for entrepreneurs that are all, starting these businesses. They're investing in our town. I want to make sure that the whole council, and I think it is, supports these entrepreneurs to make this a thriving business community. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Holly. Okay, is there anybody else who would like their 3 minutes?
There was one thing I forgot to mention. We have been a thriving business for over a year and a half.
Okay.
So this has just put us on hold. But our business, we have a lot from the community already. So.
Good. Well, we're glad you're here. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close public comment and to the council.
I guess I'm ready to, since you've closed the public hearing.
No, I just said close public comment.
Yeah, I know. But
okay.
This is, as you know, when you close the hearing and you, basically, we make a motion and vote on it. So.
I can suggest that motion should be.
Go ahead, Jim.
I think it should be a motion to approve the introduction and to waive formal reading of the proposed ordinances to amend Title 17 of the Willits Municipal Code to include the modification of Chapter 17.06 and the addition of Chapters 17.23 entitled Main Street Mixed Use Zone and Chapter 17.25 entitled General Mixed Use Zone.
I would like to make said motion and waive the hearing. Waive the reading.
Thank you, council. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Supervisor.
Can I ask one follow-up question?
Absolutely.
I'm a little surprised, I guess, or not a little surprised, I'm greatly surprised. This issue of off-street or, parking for downtown businesses is not a new issue. So I guess my question, I thought we already had a facilitated way of giving an exemption to on-street parking for historic buildings in town, whether it be the Oddfellows Hall or the Masonic Lodge, or you can name a dozen storefronts in town that have zero town. I thought we already had a means of quickly and accommodating people with that distress. Is that not the case?
I mean, not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen anything codified. If there was some type of director's,
happen?
yeah, I don't know where that would have been captured outside of Willits City Code. So I don't know if that's,
Is it part of an appeal process of an applicant for a business license that they could?
the process is the variance.
Yes.
Where you can seek relief from property setbacks, parking standards, building height, et cetera. And that was the process I was alluding to in my presentation that can take 3 months to process at times, given that you got to do the public notice, you got to, refer it out, put together a report, create findings, notify the neighbors, et cetera, and then schedule it for a public hearing. So the variance is the process that's identified in city code to allow council to make findings to waive off-street parking standards.
Well, to the point of the Oddfellows building, I believe that building's been done for, by all appearances, the gentleman here, it looked like it'd been done for a year. He could have gone through that process and had his variance in a 3-month period had he just had been advised that he could ask for that exemption and bring it to the city council?
Yeah,
Is everybody aware of that?
Yeah, Larry was advised of that, and this was on a quicker pathway than the 3 months.
Okay.
Because this was already in the works and was already being written by staff and was looked at to actually be at the previous meeting, but the state upped the noticing period from 10 to 20 days for these types of projects. So we had a couple weeks delay, but in talking to Larry, he was looking at submitting a variance application in case council was having considering not adopting those parking standards, but I don't know if Larry submitted one or not, but it looks like we're going to be giving that back to him along with his application fee if he has.
Okay. And then finally, in just reading the agenda background here on existing zone classifications, it seems like there is expanding or redefining, I guess you could say, what those zones permit. Zoning map amendments. Once adopted, apply the Main Street mixed-use DU zone to planned Main Street mixed use consistent with policy LU42. Apply residential estates RE zone to lands planned residential suburban and land is planned residential medium density urban reserve where the residential estates zone is applied to allow the continued economic use specifically identified parcels to protect from premature subdivision and development. I'm having a hard time understanding that.
So what you're going through is the intents of each of the general plan land use designations within the city. And
So it's attempting to redefine what those designations mean.
I would want to pull up the previous general plan to see if that was changed or not. I'm not certain.
So at the
But-
next
but
meeting.
that's
could you
not,
do at the next meeting, could you compare, could we get both of them? Of what?
Yeah, and
now-
I'll send an email to Councilmember Burton, and I'll CC the rest of council to let you know if we, through the land use element update, change the definitions for the RE.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. But again, that's not subject to what's in front of you tonight.
But it is, because there's a dozen bullet points that are identified in that for.
Let me re-clarify. So through the adoption of the zoning map, there may be some properties that are being changed to the RE zoning, but the language of the intent of the RE zoning district is not part of the project. But that's certainly something that we can revisit and change. But first, I'll find out if it's different from what existed and was established
That's
in
what I'm trying to
92.
determine.
Yeah, understood. Can do.
All right, we have a motion and a second. to approve the waiving of the reading and to approve the introduction of the ordinance. We have motion by Terry, and Larry Transky was the second. You were close third. Okay, so go ahead, clerk.
Councilmember Burton,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Stransky.
Yes.
Alanis.
Yes.
Almond.
Aye. So we're going to revisit this on Wednesday, September 10th. You're welcome to return if you'd like. But we certainly appreciate you coming tonight, and we wish you very good luck on this endeavor.
Mayor, just there was a second request or recommendation from staff, which was to also introduce and waive the first reading of the ordinance adopting the new zoning map. I believe the one you just did was for the zoning text amendment, or did you combine those in your?
I combined them.
Okay, I missed that, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so
Read the motion.
no offense taken, but if you'd like to leave, you're welcome to.
Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you, Dusty.
I don't understand, I guess. Morrisburg Brewery got a permit to put in beer license.
Thank you, Two Trees. Thank you very much. We can't vote on this. It wasn't on the agenda, but I appreciate you bringing it. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to. I might have you sign this for me tonight. Okay, but you have to go outside.
By changing the mixed use.
Arrest them all.
Can you please go outside if you're going to talk? Thank you. Some of us are stuck here. Okay. Moving on to public matters. Is Supervisor Haschak here? Okay. Is the fire chief here?
No, they are neither,
Okay, we have the written report provided. We have no enactment of ordinances, and so now we have a consent calendar. We have city council meetings from August 13th. We adopt a resolution authorizing continuation of municipal operation of another 30 days based on the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Adopt a resolution of the city council of the city of Willits approving the acceptance of federal and/or state funds for project BRLS 508290680 East Valley Bridge Replacement Preliminary Design. Where does the council want to go?
I just want a question on the bridge.
Pull that up there.
Pull the bridge.
Well, just a quick question, and I think, given our financial thing, we're just basically approving the grant.
We're not going to move ahead with it until we are in better financial shape. It's an 80-20 split with the state and federal funds. It's just we're eligible for them. They were applied for several years ago. We're at the top of the list right now, and we don't want to lose the eligibility. We're not going to do anything until we're in a better financial situation.
Okay.
Correct.
I think you have to add the source of the funding to the resolution. You have to add transportation tax or something.
And does Measure A does the bridge beat Measure A's criteria? Okay.
Where our 20% is going to come from, you mean? Yes.
Yeah, that's where I would,
Yeah, we could add that language.
and it's probably 2 years out or something.
Yes, I'm suspecting around that time frame, yes.
All right, is there any comment on the consent calendar?
Well, I'd like to vote on the bridge. I'm not supportive of starting down a path.
Okay, we're going to pull the bridge. We're going to pull item C as in Charles, so we're going to vote on A and B. Is there any comment on A and B? All right, public comment?
I'm not going to vote for the continuing the budget either. I didn't do it last time. I'm not going to do it this time.
Okay, so we're going to vote on city council meeting. A is in Adam, August 13th. Is everybody okay with that one? Any public comment on the minutes? Okay, is there a motion?
Can I make a motion to accept city council minutes?
Yes.
August 13th?
I'll second.
Motion is second.
Councilmember Burton,
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Stransky.
Yes.
Alanis.
Aye.
Almond.
Aye. All right, moving on to B as in boy, we're going to discuss the resolution of authorizing continuation of municipal operations of another 30 days based on the fiscal year 24-25 budget. To our city manager.
I'm I'm going to pass it to Jim.
I'm not aware of any legal requirement every 30 days we have to have this resolution. I think that it may be a good idea, it keeps it on the forefront, it makes you think about it, but I don't believe there's a requirement to every 30 days do this.
Okay. Well, it's on the calendar, and I appreciate it. I think the transparency is very important, especially if we have differing opinions that we want to discuss. Anybody want to discuss
Yeah, I
it?
know we're going to talk about this, we're going to talk about the budget a little bit later in the, sorry, got it. We're going to talk about the budget a little later in the meeting, but the plan is to bring a complete budget forward at the second meeting in September.
Okay.
As was the plan to have a complete budget in June, in July, and August.
Absolutely correct.
Any other comments? Is there anybody who wants to make a motion on the 30-day resolution?
You know, I'll go ahead and make the motion since I know that we're going to be discussing this later anyway.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. Go ahead.
Councilmember Burton?
No?
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Stransky?
Yes.
Alaniz?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes. All right, moving on to the resolution for City Council for the City of Willits approving the acceptance of federal and/or state funds for project VRLF 5082906880 East Valley Bridge Replacement Preliminary Design. So we're voting to adopt the resolution we're accepting the preliminary design and going forward with the grant. Is that right? Well,
Yeah, we're not, what it is to go into the design phase.
Go into the
The funding
design
we would
phase.
provide would be for design.
Is this going to cost us anything right now?
Nothing right now, we're not going to initiate it. We just have to initiate that we're willing to accept the funding.
Okay.
We're going to probably do it, like Rod said, within the next 2 years until we get our budget settled. There's an 80-20 split.
That would be great if we did that in 2 years.
But it's on the table, and we have a time frame where we have to accept it, otherwise we lose our place, and we won't get funding in the 10+ years.
Okay, to the council?
Well, I would just say that I remember putting that bridge in. The one that's there now was probably one of the first things that was done in the early 90s. Daniels put it in for $67,000. The bridge, and it's had a load limit on it. So I think there's other traffic circulation issues that probably support not having that be a 80,000-pound bridge anyway, being as it brings truck traffic up in front of the post office. I think that bridge is working just fine. I haven't heard anything about any structural deficiencies of it. And this is a multi-million-dollar project. It's a $900,000 initial study price. We got sucked into that bridge, one of those bridges on Railroad Avenue that goes
Nowhere.
to nowhere. This arguably goes to somewhere. I'm not arguing that, but I don't think we have begun to demonstrate that we're going to have money in 2 years to do this project. I think it's just, it's not necessary, and I don't believe we have the financial horsepower to even initiate the project. I think it's just, at this time, this evening especially, when these next 2 months, we're going to be talking about some, unfortunately, maybe some draconian necessities with our budget to moving forward in any way, shape, or form on a project that requires a 20% match.
Okay. Any other council?
Only that, from what I understand what you're saying, is that we say no on this, we're going to be moved off the list. If there's no current complaint or current structural issue with that, but that may change in 3 or 4 years.
That's not true. I don't know why you said it's not necessary. Apparently, several years ago when this was evaluated, I'll have to look who it is, it was evaluated for structural deficiencies, seismic, and it doesn't conform to pedestrian safety. And there is issues with it seismically. It's not sitting on its supports properly. So when Councilman Burton says that he doesn't feel there's anything wrong with with it, that's been predetermined that there is problems. That's why this came up. Didn't come up for no reason at all. We don't have to use the funding, and if in 2 years we find we're not in shape to do it, we can drop the funding. This is just keeping our placeholder in there. We're not accepting any money until we go into design.
Thank you, I appreciate you clarifying that exactly what I'm on.
Any more council comments?
He answered my question just now.
Okay, public comment, please. Anybody would like to comment on this? Okay, I'll close public comment. Okay, so we have adopt resolution. Is there anybody who's willing to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the accompanying resolution authorizing continuation of the municipal operations based on the,
Wrong one.
I'd like to make a motion, in that case, let me make a different motion. I want to make a motion that we approve the acceptance of the federal and/or state funds for Project BRLS enumerated.
I second that.
A motion and a second. Go ahead, first.
Councilmember Burton?
No,
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Stransky?
Yes.
Alaniz?
Yes.
Almond?
Aye. All right, moving on to monthly activity report. We have no monthly activity reports, and we're moving on to the commission, where the city council meets concurrently as the City of Willits Planning Commission and City of Willits successor agency. Nothing to report there, so now we have the city manager discussion of a draft ordinance establishing an entertainment zone in downtown Willits.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council. This is for information purposes only. Discussion, I mentioned it at the last meeting that there has been ongoing discussion with the chamber and John Kwasika about specifically talking about establishing an entertainment zone downtown, essentially to I guess it's partly to set aside and come up with an established area to eliminate a lot of the issues associated with permitting different events every time. I mean, the purpose is to create an environment where you can have events more often and also to stimulate the local economy. I mean, that's the primary purpose of this, to have more events like Hometown Festival, the car show. What's the next one coming up? Harvest Moon, thank you. So there are a couple draft ordinances in here for information purposes only. As stated, one is more broad and flexible. The other has a specific area defined in the ordinance. So I think this is a good step and a good idea for the city. It creates opportunities for existing businesses and also creates opportunity for new business and events that are, as stated in here, provide an opportunity for the city to come together and people to come from out of town. So that's the...
So this is a discussion of a draft ordinance. Where are we on the ordinance?
We just have two draft ordinances
Okay.
for review and discussion.
So, and I'm very supportive of this.
Okay.
We talked about this before. Would this be able to, I'm looking at Dusty, or would this ordinance be able to have a first reading next month, at one of the meetings next month? Or would you have to wait?
I think so, but I'll defer to Dusty.
Yeah, possibly as soon as the second meeting in September. I'm not sure, there's some noticing requirements, but I think the ordinances themselves are pretty standard, so there's an opportunity to essentially cut and paste and borrow, and if there's one that you prefer that I believe our city manager provided those examples, that would be good to know. Two quick questions, since it's up for discussion, is would we want to limit the opportunity to take advantage of an entertainment zone just during special events, or every weekend, for example? And then what would the boundaries be?
Okay, thank you.
I think, yeah, and getting input from the council and from the public is important here. The chief and I haven't discussed this at length, but we will. We'll get into the details because obviously security is one of the major concerns with adopting an ordinance like this and undertaking something that's new to the city. on a ordinance level, something that's codified, so.
Yes.
I have some concerns about this. The first thing is it's supposed to be a family-friendly event, and then it is alcohol beverages. And I don't think those two things actually mix very well, except at Frontier Days and whatever they have to put guards in around the fences around the place that they have sold the alcoholic beverage. And I think we really ought to have to work that out a little bit, because if you have to put a fence around all of these different things, I just don't think that family-friendly events and alcohol work together. Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree with the concern completely. I think from a general perspective, the days of the dark bar, like that used to be downtown and not so much there anymore, those days are past us, and it's now the breweries and the brew pubs and more family, where people are responsible adults. And I think having consistency in the security requirements is really important to the city, because I hear that one event is treated differently than another event, and they get different requirements. I think there might be some misunderstanding on that, and establishing this in the city ordinance would be important to make sure that everybody feels like they're being treated the same.
How is this regulated through ABC?
There's still ABC permits required for each event.
But in most ABC permits, they say you have to stay within this boundary, or they call it a beer garden or whatever it is.
There's some new regulations regarding entertainment zones that have come into play.
Okay.
A lot of it came out of COVID. And I think what's happening now is you're seeing events that are kind of tailored. I think Fortuna, and the analysis I'd like to see with both the chief and Dusty would be checking with other locales. I think Fortuna, I was just at the league thing, and they they were touting their brew, like a brew fest kind of thing they were doing in their downtown area up there. So I think there's an opportunity to bring special events. I'd almost like to see a special event kind of thing and meshed out that way, and then see how it goes.
Yeah, well, I think the alcohol aspect of this is an important safety and security consideration, but I don't know that it should be the focus, because that's not the intent, right?
No, and I think that's the big change that's happening with these.
I thought it was the whole intent.
So
It's not. It establishes that aspect. In some places, I think it's more, the intent is to provide the freedom to move about, so that if you're having dinner, you can, and you say you're having dinner at El Mexicano, and you want to go to something that's happening, to go see vendors or go to whatever's happening at the event. And you want to move, you can just take it with you.
Right.
And it's more about
in the zone.
freedom. I don't know, I guess that might be a little broad statement, but.
No, I thought I agree with you. That's my understanding of it. It takes the fence, it moves the fence to Commercial Street and School Street and Humboldt Street or something.
Well,
That's the mythical fence, not a physical fence, but the
Boundary.
the literal, whatever.
Right.
Boundary.
And the thing is, city council can craft this and word this however it chooses, right? Some communities, it's every Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
This block is the entertainment zone, and the local police department is this, it provides security. Ukiah does the part, I can't remember what it's called.
First Fridays?
That's Cloverdale, I think, does
Concerts.
First Fridays.
First Bragg.
Yeah,
Concerts in the park?
concerts in the park, yeah, Sundays, yeah. Where the city is, you know, I think this, I'm pretty sure the city does the beer garden, right? So, I mean, I don't know.
They're the concessionaire?
Yeah, yeah, I believe so. I believe so.
No rotaries.
Again, I'm supportive of it, but I just would want to see, we're not the first ones that are going to do this, and obviously whatever mistakes or whatever have happened other places.
It's being done rampantly over the Sonoma County. I've seen it in the Press Democrat. I don't know if it was the city of Sonoma or Santa Rosa, but is doing an entertainment district as we speak.
Right, these ordinances are crafted based on other ordinances in the state of California. So,
Well, given the choices between the two ordinances that you could present to City Council, I like the idea where we specify the boundary. I think that adds some security element that makes it knowable and doable. We can plan ahead with that. And it doesn't stop us from making exceptions later if there's a special event that we want to go further than that. This is just, you know, a standard boilerplate.
We got to walk before we run, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think having specific boundaries, and it mentions in the second one, the Main Street between Wood Street and Commercial Street, and East Commercial between Main Street and Humboldt Street. And I think that's a good start. That's my opinion on that. As far as boundaries are concerned, I think we should get boundaries, and I like the boundaries presented.
I mean, the thing that strikes me as a little bit of a struggle is that these downtown events are, I'm totally in favor of them. I think that was a tremendous value the community got when we got the freeway off of Main Street, that we own Main Street. And, you know, I'd like to see that every Friday night in the warm summer months we close it. So I think that's, but my thought is that, you know, to the comments and the whole group of people earlier is to promote the businesses that are trying to make a living on Main Street. And the city of Willits going into the beer selling business doesn't seem consistent with that. Or you know, a vendor coming in and offering that concession when you have Shawnee and you've got the new Busters and Elmex, you know, name them. It's people trying to get their revenues up to be the competition to it. I struggle with that a little bit.
I would agree. I think the bigger picture there is that they are able to participate in the event.
Well, I think in that part, being able to take their beverage with them to the neighboring business without going to the Hoos Cow, it'd be
Yeah, it's not a party, you know, it's an event.
So like bands or
Right.
sort of, acrobatic act or something like that, something that would draw people into the community.
Right, so what John was talking about was turning the little parking lot over here on East Van into a venue. So you could have a band and you could, for your events. And having vendors over on Commercial Street, and that's gonna be up to whoever decides to have an event, right? The idea is to make it easier to have an event. The other concept is like, without the event, the businesses, the brick and mortar businesses aren't getting that push of business, you know, that's not happening. I know Chico has the farmer's market every Thursday and they shut down a big chunk of downtown and I have no idea what the situation related to alcohol is, but it's a well-attended event every week.
All right, so we're going to have this in the second meeting in September. Dusty, we'll have something.
You had some public comment.
I know, I'm just asking a question. All right, so we'll open up public comment, please, by all means, go ahead.
My name is Michael Deere, and I've gone to many events where alcohol was present, and people tend to make more money when alcohol is present. In Chico, you were talking about, we used to live in Paradise, so Chico, we've gone to their downtown. It's always been this open, community-friendly place. And there is glasses of beer that are on the street, and there also are pavilions where harder alcohol is sold. But it's been a great time. The local businesses downtown made good money, and I think it's really good for Willits to have this atmosphere continue.
Thank you, Michael. John?
Good evening, John Kavaznika, Mayor, City Council. There's very, very specific rules to this ordinance you guys are going to think about adopting. Senate Bill 969 has adopted a law already, and it's very, very specific about what you can do, how you can do it, where you can do it. So it's kind of spelt out already for you. Things like you have to have a specific cup that is provided by whoever's going to put the event on. It has to be a specific cup. And if you go outside the area of the entertainment zone without that cup, you're breaking the law. And you have to have a wristband to get that cup. There's very specific rules. In order to buy alcohol from a business and wander around the street, they have to be compliant with ABC. They have to apply for the license to sell that cup to individuals. So you can't go into another business with that cup unless they're pre-designated that you can go in that business. So they have to have a license. You can even. So I can't have a beer and go into Cat's Meow with that beer and shop unless they have been approved by ABC. So there's very, very tight restrictions. It's not a free-for-all on any level. It's a difficult process to maneuver. So to think that it's not family-friendly, it's not consumer-friendly. You know, they make it very difficult to do. So, but I think it's going to pair nicely with the zoning thing that you guys are talking about, this rezoning. I think it's going to, they're going to work together nicely if you play it right, you know. So there's quite a few things that it does. If you do what you say you're going to do, it'll have a built-in customer base right off the bat for an entertainment zone. It'll make it convenient for residents to dine and enjoy a beer. There's only one in the zone area that you're talking about making, there's only one bar that will qualify for this entertainment zone, and that's Shawnee's. So there's only one place to get drinks also.
So there's restaurants that sell beer.
Well, if I'm reading it correctly, Shawnee's right now is the only one that qualifies to do that, unless I'm not reading it correctly.
John,
So-
your 3 minutes are up.
Okay, anyways, it's not easy, it's not a free-for-all, and there's already legislation in place to make it happen.
Thank you, John. Who else would like to? By all means.
Karen Kavanaugh. I would just like to say, if you're going to open up an entertainment area, please consider the Rec Grove as well.
Yes.
There's already a theater there. We've had movie nights at Frontier Days, and we would like to be included because we spend $2,000 in fencing for the Rec Grove, and we'd like not to do that. We do it because of our ABC license. And if we could have it open, we're going to save $30,000 in security.
So you're talking about Frontier Days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, talking on behalf of Frontier Days too. So it would be huge for us and the community because we do bring a lot of, outside people, reunions, all kinds of stuff. So please consider that section too for entertainment so we can open up our our grounds more. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Robin, hold on. Okay.
Robin Leeler. I'm going to speak real bluntly just because I can. I'm not a big fan of our Chamber of Commerce. I think I said this over a year ago. Okay. I thought I had to speak in. Okay. Robin Leeler. I'm going to speak bluntly. I'm not a fan of our current city Chamber of Commerce, and I spoke up about this a year ago when we were reviewing what they had done over the last year. There were no clear goals. There was no indication that they had met any of their goals. I've been approached in the last 2 weeks by a group of former employees and board members of the Chamber of Commerce who tell me that they are not in compliance with their own bylaws. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Caroline Rayberger. I run Flying Dog with Peter Swanton. I came for Rio and stayed for the party. And, you know, what we're talking about right now would be directly involved with Flying Dog, so we are another place to buy alcohol. And, you know, I talk with Pete pretty much every night about all of these types of things, and I think all I want to say to this is what's good for Willits is what's good for the businesses. And so involving more people, giving more people a reason to come here, you know, as an aspiring new business owner, it's up to me to bring that business. And the more people that are in town, the more likely that is. So yeah.
Thank you, Caroline. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, public comment is closed to the council. This is not an action item, this is discussion, so what would we like to happen in September?
Well, I'd just like to see if we could bring something, but I'd like to see some more analysis. You know, obviously, the police department hasn't been involved yet, and see what other places are doing. It'd be nice to have a complete conversation and say, hey, look, they're doing this in these other places, and they've had no complaints, or, you know, police are this, or these are some concerns the police have, et cetera. But that would be my...
So the location is going to be the biggest, I think, as Dusty's right, the location is going to be the biggest part of the discussion.
So it has to be one contiguous location?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I don't know either, but I think we have a 100-year-old community participation activity that is spending a good portion. I mean, I think that's a well-placed deal.
I never thought of that. It makes sense.
Cloverdale has their wine walk, and they have a dog grooming store that I don't think has a liquor license. That's part of the wine walk, walking in there and having a wine pour for you. And they also have other businesses, a real estate business, I doubt has an ABC license in Cloverdale. Also, you go in there and have wine pour for you. So I don't think you totally have.
Well, that was just one speaker that said that. We'll wait for Dusty to tell us what it is.
I don't think there's any reason, there's no reason you couldn't designate multiple entertainment zones.
Yeah,
I would like to add on to the whole Red Grove idea, because you were talking about creating a safe space or a place that the mobile vendors can also likewise just know a place is set up, and they know what to do, and they know where to go, and they know what the boundaries are. So, you know, when I heard the Red Grove idea, I thought that's just another thing that we could make available to that. So I like the idea of adding a second zone, essentially.
You know, the only concern I have is just because if we said every Friday night and all of a sudden police department's strained, I would want to be in a situation where I like the special events because it would cover like Frontier Days. You can prepare for something like that or for something happening. If we can't amp up for every, if Frontier Days want to do it every Friday, they probably couldn't handle it and we couldn't handle it as a city. But if it helps them out and it helps the downtown out to do a couple of big events, that's why I said we ought to walk before we run, but then if it works out, then so be it.
Sure. Like, I wasn't thinking of it in terms of like, they were both happening at the same time. Like, there could be too much strain on that. But, as long as we can kind of preset into the ordinances, this is how we do it if you want to do it over there, this is how we do it over there.
Yeah, because that way if there's, for example, if we know Frontier Days is doing it during this day and there's a couple of events the chamber may have in the downtown, but then if, hypothetically a group says, we want to do blah, blah, blah every once a month, and we may say our city can't handle that. And we'd like to be in a position where staff can say we can't.
Discretion. You can't permit two zones to be occupied at the same time.
Something like that, yeah. We close with the public then.
It's closed. Public comment is closed. Any more public? Wait, did you? No way in? No way?
Yeah, just briefly, if I may.
Okay.
Regarding, wait for the mic. Misha Light, Council, Mayor. Regarding the first Fridays, or however we're starting to go about this, I think it's important not to get too attached to the day first. We should talk to local businesses about that also. I worked at the pub, I work at the Brick House, I have a lot of friends in a lot of different businesses right now. And Fridays are actually doing pretty good in Willits. I think we should be paying attention to other days that could use more commerce and more flow of business. Just wanted to say that.
All right.
Any more public comment? Closed again. It's really closed. Okay, Rod.
I would just add that I had a couple business people come in and talk to me, and there is some interest in also south of Highway 20 having something organized for that area. Obviously, it takes some coordination with Caltrans and would be something to benefit the businesses that are in the thoroughfare down there.
I think we just have one floating in the cloud and it lands.
Okay, so we'll have it on the agenda for the second meeting in September with some draft ordinances, and we're going to talk about the location. I mean, we're just repeating ourselves up here, I think.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, what I got is work with the chief. We'll look at some other examples, probably talk to their planning, police departments, see what their experience has been like towards Jerry's comments. It sounds like we're going to be creating specific boundaries. I heard East Commercial Street between Main and Humboldt, and Main between Wood and Commercial. Also, Rec Grove Park. And I'll follow up with Karen there. Maybe we want to add the museum as well. They have special events. We can talk to them.
Well, on the routes of motive power, so yeah.
Yeah, and then I also know that Bruce supports closing off the street every Friday to party. Yeah, okay, got that right too.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, so,
all right.
yes, and then, making sure we have consistency of security requirements to the city manager's point, so got it.
Your plate's busy, it's full, but thank you because this is an important thing. It's not going to happen this year in 2025, but we can have this taken care of by the end of the year, and so 2026 budgets can be changed. Yeah, so, all right. That is a non-discussion, that was just a discussion for the city manager, so is there anything else?
That's the direction.
So, is there anything else?
Everything else right.
All right, so we're moving to item number 9, B as in boy. This was going to initially be on the consent calendar, but it's not here, and was going to be presented by Keenan O'Shea, but it's the approval of the second 5-year extension of the existing land use agreement between Reach AirMed Services LLC and the City of Willits at the Willits Municipal Airport to allow for continued operations. Keenan has briefed us on it.
I read it.
All right. Is there any public comment? All right, so we have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Any other discussion? To the clerk.
Councilmember Burton?
Aye.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Stransky?
Yes.
Alanese?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so Now we're to the presentation of working capital for fiscal year 25-26 budget and Manning.
Yeah. So right now, we have this updated working capital summary of working capital for the beginning of fiscal year. And basically what this is it's about available funds that is taking into account not only the actual cash balances that we have, but also accruals that are applied to it as well. That's part of the accounting thing we have to do. Stay in compliance with GAAP and also with GASB, which is Governmental Standard Accounting Board. So that's why we have to present it in a certain way. And yeah, right now I'm asking for a little bit of an extension associated with that study and have some time to actually draft the budget. Because there was a lot of changes that happened yesterday in terms of allocations and things like that that you need to be able to do the math or be able to read the
Just add, as I stated earlier, the idea is to bring back a budget based on changes in direction received in the last two budget workshops for the second meeting in September.
Could you just summarize the changes that were requested by the council to the budget?
Primarily,
Somebody?
well, I think staff allocation was primary, was the primary change, were the primary changes to the budget.
Which just loaded a bit more on the general fund in general, you know.
That's correct, yeah. So,
a loaded question. To my knowledge, the council did not give any specific direction to cut the budget 10%, 5%, 50%, didn't reduce overhead, reduce expenditures. They did not make any specific budget recommendations other than try and get a little more accuracy in the FTEs. Is that a fair summary?
There's also another component to this as well. The Brown Act basically forced me to be able to provide information as of Saturday, right? So that was prior to Tuesday, which we had our meeting. So there was no way to anticipate what was actually happening, what was going to happen with council, and actually give you something that, you know, would be presentable, because it would be in violation of the Brown Act. You guys have to have enough time in order to be able to review it, and in order for me to create it, I had to take my direction and then move from there on a 24-hour basis. So.
Oh, I'm not criticizing you on that at all. I'm criticizing, I guess, myself and the council that, to my knowledge, we didn't give you any substantial direction to change anything.
It was to move some of the staff allocations that were put into.
But they're incidental to the, they were kind of incidental to the problem at hand.
So Bruce,
Yeah.
could I maybe,
well, I was just to say, to your point, no, that's true. Like we essentially identified the issue, the primary issue, which is the shortfall in the general fund. We've quantified it. We're in the ballpark, right? We've quantified it.
We're trying to quantify
to be
it.
approximately, you know, if we look at the latest iteration, about $2 million deficiency. So,
well, I guess, and again, I'm not criticizing anybody, I mean, other than, yeah, like Bruce said, us up here, but I think at this point, we're in a position where next meeting we're going to come, and the bottom line is we're spending more than we're taking in. And the reality is that I'd rather have a real productive meeting with something to kick around and chew on than basically come back and go, here's some good numbers, here's this or that. I think the direction, and if I can get a second, I would like to give the city manager the leeway to look at staffing, to look at some suggested cuts that we need to make to get us to that Is it 2.5? Is that on the projected shortfall?
The shortfall, it was 2.3, but we don't know exactly what it is because the staff allocation hasn't been changed and that number hasn't.
And you won't know until, and I guess I want to make sure you have the information you need, but I would rather have something I could vote on at the next meeting that I could, so if that involves either reallocating staff or, because I'll tell you what, the biggest component in our budget is staffing. I mean, we can sit there and say, we're going to cut cell phones, we're going to cut paper clips, but the reality is the biggest cost is staffing. And I apologize to staff for those that you're not just a number, but the reality is that for us to make any headway on this, I know that some people think, oh, Measure K is going to solve it. Measure K was supposed to kind of bolster this, and I don't think that that's realistic. I think we need to make some cuts. And I would like to make the motion to authorize the city manager to come back with those, with some numbers, some staff allocations that we can actually vote on. I mean, I don't know if I have a second on that or not.
Well, this isn't an action item.
No, but I would have to just, second your sentiment in that as well, because we may not get a finished budget until the 24th. You're talking about the second week. But our next meeting is the 10th, so that's a few days away, and we should be able to, at least by the 10th, get some of that information in there. How much was that? And I guess what I would say to my other fellow council people is that I think, as I said, 5 individuals, we have our different opinions about our role in that budgeting process. I feel like we have already, especially through the last 2 budget workshops, given direction to staff and given direction to the city managers to deal with these issues. And so I'm waiting for the response back. So I wouldn't characterize our responsibility as being so specific as to say, okay, cut this job, cut this for 5%, cut this person. I don't want to do that. I would disagree with that concept of doing that. I'd rather put the onus on our city manager, who is making it his #1 priority, and putting the onus back onto our financial director to get us the answers that we're looking for. Because I don't want to micromanage from the top here. I don't need the third person to review everything that you did. He reviews what he did, and he reviews what they did. We have 2 experts that we're paying for, and 2 experts who are responsible professionals, and I want them to make the decisions. And I would like the staff that came up at the last meeting, at our workshop, the staff department heads to also recommend, well, how would they deal with the shortfall? I mean, it's easy for us, because I'm not in charge of the department, to say, well, you should get rid of this person, you should cut this program. But I would like to get the staff's opinion about what they feel they could cut in their programs, because they would know more about where the cuts should be and what they should be at. And I think that's some of the information I would like to see before we get a final budget saying yes or no. And I think that's the direction we've been doing. That's what we've been going on. So I think that's what I wanted to share.
Well, so I think that we have to be clear on what the goal, one primary goal, 2, like what is the financial, what are we trying to achieve here? How's that sound? What we talked about last, gosh, it was just yesterday, wasn't it? What we talked about yesterday was there's a deficiency not only in the operating revenue versus expenses. There's a deficiency in the revenue, in the fund balance, right? And we have to nail down exactly what that deficiency in the fund balance is. So if you have a deficit in your general fund balance, you have no ability to absorb any changes to the economy, deal with any type of emergency, deal with anything that's unexpected that affects your revenue. So if revenue's going down 9% last 3 years, if it goes down 20% this year, there's no money to absorb that except for Measure K, right? There's no money to make any changes or to pay your bills other than Measure K. So I think that the task, the goal here is to, in 5 years or in 10 years, I think it should be 5, to get the general fund to a point where it's 2.5 million in the plus side in a fund balance. So the reality of that is, in order for that to happen, over the next 5 years, there has to be a $500,000 average, $500,000 annual surplus. So looking at a projection with, let's say, a 3% CPI or 3%, and we start at 4.9 million, and if we use that as our initial starting point, then we're going to be looking at what happens over the next 5 years when you take 5 million, subtract your 500,000, you have 4.5 million left. How much does it take to operate the city, right, to provide services to the community? If that's $1.5 million, that gets us down to 3 million, and that's how much can be spent on payroll, benefits, and unfunded liability. So if we start with that framework and look at a 5-year plan to get to the point where the city's solvent again, or in a position that we're in a better financial position, then it's not what are we cutting and trying to get to that point, it's what are we building up to get to that amount. I think that's the responsible way to deal with this issue. And I think it's one logical alternative.
So I agree with that.
Okay.
The question then is that independent of Measure K. I interpret that as you're saying that independent of Measure K monies, because that's not a sustainable payroll deal. But Measure K is I think until this council takes some authoritative action on what staff can use, what monies they can use to address that, whether, the transportation tax, the successor agency fund, and Measure K, you've left way too many, you've left the variables in place that can continue to sink the ship, that will sink the ship. And I can't seem to find a second voice to define that up here so staff has, a clear enough direction of what they're supposed to be trying to solve.
Well, I'll be the second voice, Bruce, and I asked you at the last meeting, I said, what do you want? I mean, if we, to put it to the public, let me be very clear about this. The city gets income 3 ways. We get a small portion of your property tax. So when you pay your property tax, just because you live in a city doesn't mean it all comes to the city. The vast majority of it goes to the state of California, and they give us a pittance of it.
It goes to schools, Tom.
Schools, through the state, it goes to schools. The second is through sales tax. So when you pay your 8% sales tax, that doesn't go to the city. We only get a small portion of sales tax. And the third way the city gets money is through permits, through business license, and some fees and fines and so forth. And our income is approximately, and the city manager will correct me, approximately 2.9 million. And we're spending, our income is?
General fund is 4.9.
And we're spending how much?
6.6.
6.6. All right? So we're $2 million a year in the hole, and the city cannot continue to do business and provide services to the public by being $2 million in the hole per year. I mean, if we were a business, and it's happened to other places, I'm not saying it would happen, but if we didn't make any changes, we'd go bankrupt. That's very clear. And so the biggest cost is to the employees, and it's not a surprise. We're in a situation, and the city employees, I'm sure, are aware of this, that there are going to be cuts to city employees. I mean, it's that simple. There are going to be cuts to city employees. And how do we get in this situation? We could argue till the cows come home, but that's not where we're looking right now. We're trying, instead of looking in the rearview mirror, we're trying to look through the windshield.
Thank you.
And say, how can we how can we be in 5 years in a situation where we again have a reserve? So that, to the public, that's where our situation is. And this is not just a paper shuffle where we can go home and not worry about it. This is a real thing that something's gonna happen.
I'm sure the staff understands that. I mean, I just would like to reiterate that. I know every staff director I spoke, they understand they're going to have to look at cuts. And they have to look these people in the face, and they're going to have to make decisions about what's best for their department.
Measure K sunsets in 2031, I think is the specific year. It was presented to the voters as a measure to keep the city alive in 2020. We've already talked about this at length. We've had this discussion. Since Measure K's passage, the salary burden has increased by 75%.
And the number of city employees has increased by nine employees.
The 22 to 24 budget showed 62 FTEs. So I'm not sure what happened between 24 and 24, 25, but we're not trying to look in the rearview mirror, but you have to have some idea how you got here, but you can't fix it, right? The reality here, I understand, I look at this a couple different ways. Having to give this a lot of thought, and a lot more than I expected.
We know that.
When we started, but ultimately the duty is to the community. And you can't shave that, whatever the operating expenses are that are needed to provide the services to the community. But that's balanced with staffing because you have to have people to provide the service. So this is a very, very difficult situation to manage with not very much money to manage it at a point where you're at a deficit in the general fund, which seems to have happened in a relatively short amount of time. So I think one of the more alarming aspects is the 9% annual decrease in sales tax revenue, which is the driver of Measure K, transportation tax, and a lot of general fund, a portion of the general fund as well. I think direction is necessary, but with respect to Measure K, but from what I've read and my interpretation, to be blunt, we've had this discussion openly. This problem was created after Measure K was passed. And if you look at the 22 to 24 budget, the revenue jumped up to 6.87 million, and so did the expenses. So I think to argue that the purpose of Measure K is to help in these situations is disingenuous and misguided. And a reliance on Measure K for a long-term solution is adverse to the intent of the measure and would undermine public support for any continuation of Measure K after 2031.
I just want you to have the latitude to present something to us, and that's what I'm looking for. Because I don't want to be back here in 10 days and basically going, what are we going to do now? I'd rather you say, here are your choices.
Okay, and I think maybe multiple scenarios or a couple different scenarios, and there has to be a system, or there has to be some logic to the approach.
Yeah.
Where was the city in 2020? What was the staffing? It's not the unfortunate thing here is it's not FTE to FTE. It's salary burden to salary burden. It's also if revenue's on the decline, then that has to be factored into the discussion. So there are different ways to look at it, but I would look to apply some objective reasoning and present that to council. And I don't know of any other way to do it other than objective with some methodology that makes sense. Just to talk, we can talk about transportation tax real quickly. I think that the transportation tax had a specific intent. What it was used for, I don't need to argue that. There's no money left in transportation tax. It has a balance of $47,000. So it's not a tax to backfill the general fund. Legally can't do that. It can be used for streets projects. You can use a portion for administration, but based on the usage based on what was budgeted without going back into it more greatly, without transportation tax, there are no streets projects. Disservice to the community. We're not gonna be able to do a paving project for X amount of years until that revenue builds back up, until that fund balance is back at $2 million. Cost of paving is a lot more than it was in 2003. So that said, that would be my approach. I think Manny and I talked about this earlier. I talked to Andy Heath today. He's going to help us finalize the budget, and he's going to start working with us next week to get some of the questions we've had over the last couple of weeks or the last couple of months answered, and we're going to put together a budget that's more easily digested. How's that? Makes it that's more transparent and easier to understand. So with that,
Any more to the council? Any comments? To the public?
Just quickly ask about the successor agency situation. I think we were unclear about how to liberate that money.
So-
If you haven't already, could we make that
Yeah,
public?
I made a couple of contacts over to the DOF, Department of Finance, in regards to the dissolution of the successor agency. I'm also looking into past transactions and whether or not we actually pooled for administrative costs.
Sure.
It could have been that we'd already left them behind because I didn't notice any administrative costs actually being pooled for quite some time. So the balance that's there could potentially be something that we can actually bring and draw back into the general fund.
And that's $1,025,000, right?
a portion.
A portion.
And
And then after that,
portion for administrative.
yeah.
Because it's meant it's a debt service. It's a
Yeah, it
service
was meant
debt.
to facilitate the debt service that
Yeah.
was associated with the California, Community Development Commission. And so, yeah, the remaining bond measures that were still there needed to have payment go into. So.
Are we done with all those bond payments?
Yes, we are. So now it's just a matter of figuring out how much of that was our administrator carved that out, and then talk to DOF about the dissolution and what we need to do in order to be able to, because some of that might actually be owed back to the constituents, which it's a carve out of tax, of payroll tax, or sorry, property tax, and taxes that were meant to go over to schools, us, and county have all been diverted to go into this fund and such. And so there's small amounts that we'd have to redistribute back over to their constituents.
I just wanted to make sure that you were following up on that, and I wanted to let the public know that there are many things that have been done that council asked staff to do, and that you know you've been working on that. So we eagerly await the verdict. I mean, the results of how this
And
is.
for us to utilize that, or for us to actually finalize
Yeah, I
what
mean,
we
we
got
need to-
going
need to know.
on, probably have to go to DOT, make sure that we get our resolutions in order, go to the oversight committee, and then say we want to dissolve and see what happens.
Any more from the council? Is there any public opinion on this very unfortunate situation? By all means.
Rakta Zakaria. Thank you, City Manager, for everything you're doing. I know it's a hard job. The only thing I would like to say is, who's accountable about this mess? We need to shave, and I said that last year. I said we need to shave our budget. Anybody who works for the city or touches the city, whether part-time, you need to shave those fees all across the board. Number two, I don't believe we are in this mess only because of the city staff. There is another part of that budget that we need to focus on, like stopping all the projects you guys are planning to make. There must be another side of that budget aside from the city staff. So we need still to do more looking deep on the other side of your budget and find the ways where we screwed up. We need to live on beans and rice for the next 5 years, period. That's it.
Anybody else like to comment? Okay, public comment is closed. This was a presentation, so no action is required.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
would it be digressing too much to go back and talk a little bit about the enterprise funds?
We can talk about the enterprise fund. It's not on the agenda, but it's part of our budget, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we did a good service to the guys that are running those enterprise funds in having them give us we did a high elevation flyover with Manny's presentation, but I'm looking at I just like to get the people that are running those departments to explain to me what their goals for the year are, what are the capital projects they have planned, what are their cost-saving ideas. I mean, I can see the FTEs and the wastewater is a net up 1.3 people. I can see in assuming, again, that I don't know, Manny, if these FTEs change that you've given us, but in the water department, there's close to a 3.6, almost 4 FTE more in that department than in last year. 4 new employees or 3.6. So, but I'd like to get, again, just them to walk through their budget and their what their needs for the year are. We don't give these as much attention because they do have a revenue source that rides with them, but we do have a responsibility to understand their budgets and the line items and the CapEx projects that they have and what's coming up. Because, there's certain ones that we're finding challenging to fit into our economic status. So, I know Scott's not here tonight, but maybe we could address this at least in the wastewater. I'm sure they were prepared last week, and I felt like I didn't do my job in.
You're talking about yesterday's budget hearing?
Yeah, excuse me. Didn't do my job in giving them an opportunity to talk about their budget and their goals and expectations. I think we should be doing that. And I don't know if this now is the appropriate time. I didn't know other time to bring it up.
Okay, well, you brought it up and the city manager heard you. So, anything more?
I think
Okay.
wastewater's hands are tied. I mean, that fund is, like, there's no room for projects with the solar project in general.
Most of
So,
our CIP projects are put on hold. The only ones we're doing right now are ones that are out of necessity.
Well, that's what I want to know, what they are. Is there a CIP list here
It's in the back.
that I'd like you to just summarize it for me? I'd like to know what is the plans. These lists change every day. I'm not got the confidence. I don't know whether to take the time to,
It's the gate replacement and the UV control panel upgrade. And those are the only two, 190,000. The rest of it is all right there.
Sorry,
Page
Mr. Willis,
121.
yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 121.
121.
Can you repeat, you just said?
so the Langerman Gate out at the discharge to past the enhancement wetlands, discharge to the, to Outlet Creek, that replacement, and the UV panel upgrade, which I think is relatively close, but that needs to be, those are two essential things that need to happen.
They are essential, that's coming to city council in the next city council meeting. And those are critical ones that are essential for operations.
Yeah, so, and water has the filter media that's already been approved for purchase on page 122.
You're talking about ongoing projects that are going on right now that we have to pay for. What else?
Proposed for 25, 26.
Correct, excuse me.
And the spillway,
What was the first one? Sorry. What was the first one you said for water?
the filter media replacement,
Thank you.
that came in last meeting.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
That is approved.
about 75K or 80, whatever, something like that. Then the spillway gates, the boards being replaced with something that's functional, that you can actually, so it's just it's a safety issue for the operators. And then new hydrant at Franklin. Those are the only projects on the board.
Right now,
And unless something comes up as an emergency, everything else has been put on hold.
Right, or if something comes up that, even if it's not an emergency, if there's another capital improvement project that comes up that should be done before it becomes an emergency, that would be brought to council.
So what's the story with the increase in FTEs?
Now, you said 4, there has not been. We've had-
No, this is, in wastewater, I have a net 1.3 plus.
Probably we filled a position, we have an extra operating and training that was an approved position that was filled last year.
But we changed that allocation too yesterday. We changed the
Yeah, there was
assistant city manager and city manager amounts as well
Yeah.
yesterday in wastewater.
And that may be,
We didn't take them out, but you lowered them to 0.25 from 3.0 and 3.3, right?
yes, the city manager, assistant city manager.
So those have minimal, I mean,
Yeah.
in the prior year, they weren't in the city, they weren't in the wastewater fund at all.
You know, in the 22-23 budget, they had lesser numbers. I don't know why those got decreased in the last couple of years and put into the enterprise funds. That's why we haven't removed the list of realistic. I'm more concerned, you were saying, was it water? But you said it was increased 4.
Water has a net
Yeah, 'cause we haven't-
3.6.
So where did that come from, Manny? Because we haven't added more people.
Well, I can just, on administration, it went from prior year 0.77 this year to 2.98.
Yeah, that doesn't, somehow that doesn't make sense.
In distribution, it went from 1.8 to 4.84.
I know we found some of our positions, the superintendent, myself, who should have been in there, we were in like cannabis for some reason. So there might be things like that, corrections, but some of that number is fine.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't. There
Well,
haven't been
I-
added positions, no, it's just shuffling around.
Yeah, and then in water operations, it actually went down by 1.8. Oh, that's airport, I'm sorry, I included airport enterprise, but that was only a .2 change, so it did, so a 3.6 is actually 3.4. So, but can you just give me a narrative of what's going on out there this year, Ben?
Well, like we said here, when we go back, the landing gates, there are some necessary projects that we need to do, and UV, those are our two big ones we're doing right now. Last year, we did one of the clarifiers, that was an emergency project. We're basically putting everything on hold, and as Rod said, a lot of that is the funding and stuff for Sizer Cove for the solar project is going to take up a lot of that with extra funds. One of the projects we had on the books that we went out to bid for, or looked at going out to bid, was a maintenance building that was approved about 4 years ago, and it's been a long time in development, but when we got the engineer's estimate, it was twice when we had started because of increased prices of materials. So that's on hold because of that. We put several projects on hold. Like I said, the only ones we're going to do are extreme necessity for operation.
Can you explain those gates a little bit more to me? I mean, those were new 10 years ago.
Yeah, and they wear out. they're
Just describe them to me.
It's a gate flow system and everything there, and
Describe the gate. Is it a ball valve? Is it a gate? Is it a... How does the valve operate?
it's a large, I wish I had a picture of it.
It's like an irrigation.
Yeah,
It's more like an irrigation.
Yeah, it's a big
gate
one. And
It's a gate.
that lowers and
It's not
raises and
a valve.
lowers to control how much is discharged.
And it's powered by a screw, or is it powered hydraulically? Electrically?
It's electric.
Is
It has
it,
that-
is it manually operated?
It has that option and everything, but it's worn out. It's actually not containing, and we're not in compliance right now because it's leaking so badly, and it has no repair. There's no way to repair it. It's past its lifespan.
It was leaking 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah. It was leaking when I was the public works director. We were talking about going to a different system.
Yeah.
So it's been a while in the works of getting that thing.
So what are you replacing it with?
A similar system and everything there, and everything. We're not going to we're not redoing the whole infrastructure. We're going to use a similar gate, an upgraded version of that. And we've already had a company that did the original installation. You look at it, it's just worn out. And like I said, what's happening is because it's worn out, it's leaking around the compliance. And that's why it needs to be fixed soon and everything, yes. And it also has because of its condition right now, it can fail at any time. So this is something we need to do before winter.
Are they built to handle contamination?
In what sense?
Well, I mean, you have a settling pond that's, all kinds of things go through there. You would assume when the gate closes, the chance of contamination being in that would be high. I'm just,
Yeah.
how does it deal with that?
It doesn't. If it's worn out, there is a chance of contamination. Yeah, it's not closing fully. It's not operating as it should be. And so we're having,
So what's the new one? How is it going to operate different?
it's not worn out. This one's totally worn out.
We're just talking in circles here.
Well, but the old one there is failing because it's worn out. It has no capability to contain what it's supposed to. A new gate will solve that problem.
I'll go look at it, I
Yeah.
guess.
So does the lake have to be drained to replace those?
It's going to have to be dropped down, yes.
So that happens in the winter once?
I think there's valves upstream. I think there's valves upstream.
Yeah.
You can shut it off upstream because when you're irrigating in the summertime, nothing gets, or
Nothing goes, yeah.
it does get to the gate, but you can close it off. That's high quality effluent. I want to point that out.
Yes.
It's been
That's high
treated.
Not
quality,
contaminants.
high quality discharge to outlet creek.
Well, I'm talking about reeds and ducks and whatever is floating through there, debris. You know, I mean, we have a screen at the sewer plant to take solids out of it because you can't, you know, you need to, and so it just seems like the material going through there, it's not the solids from the sewage.
No, it's treated.
But we built a wetland that has got millions of tons of organic reeds and stuff in it that dies and floats and leaves and poops.
Doesn't make it, usually doesn't make it.
Well,
Make
that-
the gate. The gate just
That's
goes.
pretty much
That's how.
sorry to waste your.
All right,
Because that
okay.
doesn't really yield much.
So any more questions on that? Let's try and move on to reports. Any more questions on? All right.
Well, I'd like, my question is, in the next meeting, I'm going to bring up the FTEs, looking at prior years and this year. I'm going to be looking at that in the water and these enterprise funds, and I'd like to see if those things continue, they're going to come under more scrutiny to have that kind of raised by 3.5 people in the water department.
I would like to see that as well. I just would like to respectfully remind you that, if we have to let people go, we have to go based upon what the union contract goes. So we don't really get to select like 3 people from the water district or that person from that. We're going to have to go according to whatever the union or whatever the contract says. So let's just keep that in mind.
No, I fully understand that, but I think it's exactly why we're here.
Okay.
All right, I don't think we have an airport report tonight because there's an airport meeting that started at the same time as council meeting, but they're probably already out. Is there a community development report?
If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Good presentation tonight, thank you. Any questions? We've talked about finance, there an additional finance report? Okay, any question for finance? Chief, you?
No, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Services and facilities, anything more?
No, other than the railroad trail project is moving along nicely and everything. At some point, it'd be nice to have, if you guys want to go and take a look at the trail and see how it's progressing.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah,
And are we on schedule for completion in February?
it's a little later than that because of some design. It's probably more looking at the last calendar, April, May. One big thing that's coming in the next month or so, mid-September, one is coming in, and then 2 more after are the bridges that are coming in from Midwest, and they'll be shipped out soon.
Okay,
Are the permits in place now?
We're waiting for one additional permit. Everything is, we can move ahead with the bridges and things like that. What it is, there's a drainage permit that's with Fish and Wildlife. There was a redesign on some drainage, but that's not repairing the project.
Good.
any public comment on any reports? Hearing none. Good and welfare, or city council announcements or communication reports?
Well, in good and welfare,
Wait, I'm sorry, that'll be in just a minute. Let's go to announcements, communications, and reports first. Did you go to any meeting? Hey, Jerry.
I went to the league meeting up in Fortuna on Friday, and actually it was a really good presentation of wildfire impact, and they talked a little bit about those maps that we got a while back. And the lady that spoke was a Yana Valachivic, and Forest Advisor and County Director for UCNAR Fire Network. She goes into fires and does analysis. She had a great PowerPoint that when I get it from Sarah, I'm going to send it to you and you can distribute it out to everybody, maybe to the public.
I can add it to the website.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a lot of good information regarding stuff we should be doing to our houses and things, and it'd be nice to push that information out. I mean, some of it's, it's going to be a little hard if you're going to do a bunch of major reconstruction, but if someone's going to upgrade their outside, they know what best practices are. I think that's what I kind of took away from it. And then we elected a second vice president, and I did find out that
You were elected second vice president?
No. We elected a second vice president, and it's a lady from Blue Links, I think. And then I got clarification. I can't send someone to vote in our place, but there really isn't anything to vote on unless there's something from the floor. So, and that's all I've got.
Anything to report, Larry?
Yes, I went to a solid waste, Mendocino solid waste, and it was postponed that day. And so I didn't get to go to it.
Did they call you before you went down there?
No,
That's the second time this has happened.
yeah.
There's Mike
Sorry.
Sweeney when you
That's okay. I went to an economic development
I know.
meeting, and it started at 2 and was over at 4, and I left at 3:45 because I had to be someplace else. And all they did is talk about things, the loans and stuff that they have done and how well they have done. I went to a transportation meeting on the 25th. And Jerry and I both went to that, and they were just, it's pavement, it's just open stuff. It was, the main thing is that we went through this in about 45 minutes, and there isn't anything that, like public request, traffic, speed calming, measures, alley problems, gates, and vehicles in the gates, and in the alleys. East Valley Bridge, we just talked about that. Conservation Corps sidewalk connection. That's, that one's right there. And Main Street enhancement, lighting, and banner. You talk about those, but, we don't have any money to do these kind of things. So that's my 3 reports.
I have nothing to report.
Well, we held a food truck meeting here last month, and there's another food truck meeting on the 23rd September at 5 p.m. So now, Bruce, Goodwill. Good and welfare. I'm sorry.
Good and welfare. I really like this tune. I do not know what it takes to
Well, you
make-
play banjo, you'd like this.
Yeah, I don't know what it takes to, I don't know that another, other than Tony Bennett, I don't know another town has a song.
We would have to open it up to, and ask anybody else if they have a song, and we would have we would have to put it on the agenda, but I would welcome a town anthem.
Mike Jeff to come back.
Anyway, I think it, as being a resident here for some time, I've always called it the 7-mile grade.
I know, I've never heard it called
Artistic
7 mile.
license, I'm not taking any exception. It might fit better in lyrically, but I think it captures a very nice sentiment about the community, and we could do a lot worse than, hard to say, I think it's great. I don't want to cast it, couldn't do better.
We might have Richard back, or Two Trees back.
Maybe just tweak that first verse about good eating places.
Yep, and I don't know if there's Schuster's truck, is Schuster's truck, are they still on the road?
No,
Okay.
it's been out for quite, but it's got to have a little history in it. Again, I could never keep up with Schuster trucks.
All right. Is there anything more for the betterment of the community?
Yes. Willits Frontier Days on September 11th is hosting a mixer with North Coast Builders Exchange
Oh, good.
from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I have invitations for each council member here
Thank you.
to attend.
What day of the week is it?
Thursday.
9/11.
That's your problem. Don't offer it.
Also before our next meeting, the Roots of Motor Power are also having their weekend coming up on September the 6th.
That's right. Pause for Cause this weekend.
Clouds for
This
Clouds
weekend?
coming up.
Yes.
That is this weekend.
Oh, yes.
Really central.
Is it? What is?
Yeah, and that's
Okay, anything else? Good and welfare?
I just want to clear, for the record, Dusty, I forgot to include the important 3 barrels per batch. 3 barrels per batch is the, and I think it has federal tax implications, that if I remember correctly, from back in my brewery startup days.
Yeah, it's kind of a basic starter kit brewery is a 3-barrel brewery.
Okay, one thing
20 grand or something.
One thing I forgot to say, but this is on the minutes, is I've appointed an ad hoc committee of Jerry Gonzalez and Matthew Alaniz to prepare an initial response to the grand jury report. And so on September 10th, it will be on the agenda. To have a public discussion on the grand jury report.
And I'll send an email to you and Jim regarding,
Matthew and Jerry.
so
Is there any more public comment?
Move to adjourn.
Walter?
We just got invitations, and I'll send them to the city council. The California Conservation Corps is going to open up and have an open house on September 26th.
Okay.
September 26th.
You did get it.
We get one, yeah, I got one check and see.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, so please get one.
it came
All
out
right.
email.
Was that?
Went to our email.
Okay, meeting's over.